Hello, my name is Enzo from Holistic Life Network. We are in Point Claire today with my co-host
Isabel
and our wonderful guest, Dalia Marom. Is how you pronounce it?
You got it. Mm-hmm.
And with some of her lovely bowls, Tibetan singing bowls.
Yes.
So, how are you?
I'm good. I'm really good. Yeah, and how are you guys?
Great. This is the first interview we do on the floor.
Yeah, the level's a bit different. So, actress, singer, songwriter, yoga teacher, and sound healer.
Yeah.
Wow. How did you get from actress, songwriter? Well, I mean, I do see the progression here, but what initiated this, and how come you stopped at yoga teacher, sound healer?
Well, it's amazing how the journey of life kind of takes you into different areas, and it's funny because now, like, where I am makes total sense of everywhere that I've gone along the way. I've been a performer and an artist my whole life. I started acting when I was 8 years old. I was doing a lot of community theater. I actually studied theater in university as well, and I have my degree in theater, and I got into songwriting kind of by accident. I was on a theater tour across the States and Canada just when I got out of theater school. I started this tour, and then I was hanging out with a lot of musicians at the time, and we would just joke around at the studio, and I'd pull out the microphone and I would just improvise just for fun. And next thing I know, I'm writing all these songs, and I'm waking up with music in my head, and I'm like just creating lyrics, and it was just kind of flowing through me and pouring out of me, kind of by, like, I guess I was channeling it from the universe somehow, and just all of a sudden it was just the universe was guiding me to go on this journey as a songwriter. So I started this project called Dalia that I was part of for quite a few years, and I recorded an EP called Gypsy Soul that I released about 7 years ago now. I worked with some of the guys from Branson 3000. I don't know if you remember that awesome band back in the 90s that won Grammy Awards, Juno Awards.
Really?
They did the famous song "Drinking in LA."
That's right.
Yeah,
and they're still performing.
And they are, yeah. So two of the musicians from that band, Nick Hines and Gary McKenzie, were my producers on this project. So I was really grateful to be able to work with them. And we ended up after releasing the album, I went on to perform at some festivals, and we were part of an international competition where we made the Canadian finals, which was pretty exciting. We got to perform at venues like Club Soda and the Olympia and like some pretty well-known venues in Montreal. So that was really a really nice journey. And then I got into yoga. I've been practicing yoga like throughout my university years. I was practicing moksha. That was the yoga that I discovered. And it was funny because I remember practicing yoga and being like a lot of the yoga that's come to the West has become very exercise based. So it's all about, the sweat and it doesn't have so much of a focus on the spiritual side of things. And not to, diss any of the yoga that's come here. Everything evolves and changes and grows. But I remember being in Shavasana, and I would be the only one, like, after everyone had, it was like Shavasana, everyone would just want to get out of the room, and I would be there for until
I
was gonna say that's my favorite.
I know, and I would be and then the girl who's cleaning the room would almost be kicking me out of the room with the broom. And I would just be visualizing. I'd be scanning my body, and I would just be visualizing and creating and sending intentions to the universe, and just really kind of doing my own meditation at the end of the session. And I was and I was really connecting with something that I didn't really know much about at that point. And then I met a few years later.
How long ago was that?
That was, I would say, probably around 2003, 4.
Okay.
Yeah, something like that. So yeah, it's even been more than 10 years. And I remember just being in those classes, like, and I love the hot yoga. Like, for me, the hot yoga is really, really profound. It doesn't work for everybody, but I just love that good sweat. And I remember coming out of those classes too and just being so much more relaxed and so much more at peace, and whatever stress and anxiety I was dealing with in my life at the time, being in school and whatnot, I would just be like just so calm, and I just love that. So, you know, fast forward quite a few years later, I met Dr. Bali through a good friend of mine who's also a singer-songwriter. Her name is Mona Lisa. Hi, Mona Lisa. If you ever watch the video, I love you. And she was a big part of my journey too. We were both singer-songwriters, and we were supporting each other in our journey and doing shows together and collaborating a lot too. So she did her training with Dr. Bali. And she did a session on me, as she needed to practice on 10 people. That was part of her to get her certification. And
This was a yoga session you're talking
it was a yoga session,
Okay.
yes. And then I did the session with her, and I was just blown away. It was a very different yoga from what I had experienced, the Dr. Bali method. And I was just so calm and so blissed out after that session, and I was like, I have to go and I have to meet this Dr. Bali person. And then I met Dr. Bali, and everyone who meets Dr. Bali falls in love with Dr. Bali. And for those of you who don't know Dr. Bali, he's a 93 or 94-year-old yoga guru, and he's based in Montreal. He's from India. He doesn't take any medication. He's in perfect health, and he's like
Still traveling.
I don't even know where he was in India, and now I think he's. I'm not even sure where he is now, but he's still traveling all the time.
And you two do events together.
We do, and now we collaborate together and we do events. I was a guest teacher at a yoga retreat that he did in. A wellness retreat that he did in Costa Rica last year. We also did quite a few retreats together. We did one in Montreal at the Optima Center. I also went down with him to the Omega Center, and we also did a workshop out there. So yeah, we've been collaborating like quite a bit, and it's been such an honor and a pleasure to be working with him side by side as a friend, as a colleague, and also as my guru and somebody I admire and respect so much. So that's been a wonderful experience.
And you do Yoga Nidra as well?
Yes, and then so I studied Yoga Nidra as well, and then I fell upon sound healing, and I was just so fascinated by this modality, and it just kind of really runs into everything that I've already been doing, and even as an actor, like going back when I was a kid in theater school, we used to do a lot of guided visualization. So similar stuff that you do in Yoga Nidra, we would do these really intensive guided visualization meditations before we would get into the class. So I've been doing that kind of work like since I was a kid, so it's kind of something that's been a big part of my life. So when I got into the sound healing and the Yoga Nidra and the work that I was doing with Dr. Bali, it was almost like everything in my life to that point had all come together into one thing. So even like when I'm doing my sessions a lot of them have come from my own inspiration, putting ideas and stuff that I've amalgamated throughout my years of doing everything that I do and putting them, and I've created these sessions that are incorporating sound healing, incorporating the Dr. Bali method, incorporating some of the visualization and stuff I did in acting school when I was a kid, incorporating, some of my musical inspirations as well, using my voice and books that I've read, so kind of incorporating all of that together.
So you use your voice with all of this as well?
Yes, the voice is such a powerful tool. A lot of times as society, we bury a lot of emotions because, we're in an environment where it's not okay to cry, it's not okay to be angry. And where does that energy go? It stays in the body, and sometimes...
Or even to speak.
Yeah, absolutely. We're afraid to say something of hurting somebody or...
We don't have time also. How many of our interactions are so, 30 seconds, hey, how's it going? Okay, see you later. Or what'd you do this weekend? And next. Yes, and how are you compared to... So how are you? It's like a whole other...
Absolutely.
It's like we're speaking a different language. But you were saying, talking about bottled feelings and emotions.
Absolutely.
And how does the voice then help release that, or
So what we do in my sessions is I use a lot of vocal vibrational stuff. We go into humming, we go into a lot of the vocal, also each chakra has a vowel sound. And so we integrate, I always say we because I consider my bowls a part of, like, they're a part of me, so me and the bowls. So yeah, what I like to do is I like to integrate a lot of sounds, so releasing. One of the things I do in my classes as well is, like, let's release energy from the last, like, any stress from the last day, from the last week. Okay, now let's release all the stress from the last 3 months, the last year, you know, and that's like energy that's been built up in the body, and it gives us an access to let that go and let that energy go somewhere because it's been trapped in the body. And you know, and being the busy lives that we all have today with technology and families and everything, sometimes we don't have that time for ourselves to really get in touch with ourselves and really allowing that space where we can let go. So in the classes, that's where it really gives people the opportunity to do that, and it's amazing. Like, at the end of classes, you know, I've so many people come up to me and they give me a huge hug, and they're in tears sometimes, even just because they feel so, like, a huge weight has lifted off their shoulder, and they feel so much more at peace now. And
So you mentioned classes, so you do classes and one-on-ones?
Yes, well, I do. I call them more special events.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so right now what I specialize in is I do a series of different special events. I do a yoga and sound healing event, which I actually have one coming up on the West Island. It's actually every Sunday, the first Sunday of the month, and it's at Om West. And it's yoga, the Dr. Bali method, with sound healing. So I'm playing the bowls and guiding you through a meditation. We start with a meditation. I integrate the bowls while I'm guiding you through the Dr. Bali method, and then we finish with a Shavasana and a Yoga Nidra at the end, and a little bit of a guided visualization. So that's one event that I do.
And how long does that last?
That's a 2-hour session.
Wow.
Yeah. And then I have another session, which is a sound healing meditation, where that's an hour and a half, and I guide you through a sound healing meditation with incorporating Yoga Nidra, guided visualization. And I do...
Just on a side note, sorry, can you just, maybe for people who don't know, what is Yoga Nidra exactly?
Yes, good question. So Yoga Nidra is conscious sleep. That's another name for it. It's basically, I'm guiding you in a very, very deep state of relaxation, which allows the body to almost be in a state of sleep, but we're still awake. So we're activating what we call the theta waves in the brain, which basically really relaxes the mind to a point where that we have access to the healing energy in the body, where the body can now recuperate itself. And it's through, and this is also a lot of what Dr. Bali teaches, is the relaxation response. It's through the relaxation response that we're allowing the body to ultimately heal itself. When the body is tense, the energy is not flowing fluidly. Right. The energy can get locked in certain areas, and you know, we think that when we sit in front of the TV at the end of the day, you know, piling down a bag of chips and and thinking about our next day, that we're relaxing, but we're not really relaxing, right? Like we think we are, but our body's still tense, because then we have messages. Oh, I need to have this car. I need to have this. All the images from commercials and whatnot. Is still causing stress in the body. So we never really allow, like, we've forgotten as a society how to relax, like really relax.
So you're saying that sound can repair, basically. It can help us repair, regenerate.
Well, basically what the sound does is that, like, everything in the universe is energy and vibration.
Yes.
And so is everything in our body. So when our body is stressed or sick, it's like our body becomes out of tune.
Yeah.
So when we use sound, it actually helps bring the body, it helps tune the body back to its optimal state of balance, up to its optimal state of frequency.
Is it sort of like
a state of homeostasis? Exactly.
Like a mirroring process, right? In a way, like I know that on your website, actually, I was there. I was looking at it recently, and you were talking about how it's sort of like tuning an instrument through sound. You're tuning your body through the music. And I think I read somewhere that we tend to I think it's our nature to mirror, or to want to mirror, because we're social beings and because we thrive through connection. And so is it that the sound is basically that through playing the sounds, our body then can change frequencies to match that of the sound? Or?
Absolutely, yes. And that's, I'm forgetting the name of the term right now, but there's a term for it.